Good morning, guys. Welcome to Basic Electrical Engineering lecture. So we were dealing with three-phase induction motors. In the last class, we studied the construction. We studied the construction of three-phase induction motor. Okay, I had shared you the lecture video of that. And in construction, we saw there are two parts: stator and rotor. Stator and rotor. Stator is similar to the alternator, okay, or synchronous generator. If you have not gone through, so the stator of induction motor will be similar to the stator of synchronous generator, okay. So you can see the hollow cylindrical structure wherein the slots are punched in the inner periphery, okay, and it has got certain length, okay. So this is the stator of induction motor, to which I will be connecting the three-phase supply, and these slots will be having the three-phase distributed winding, okay. The slots will be, stator slots will be having three-phase distributed winding, okay. So inside which I have the rotor will fit inside the stator, okay, and whenever the supply is given, the rotor starts rotating, okay. So this is how the construction is given. So that was the stator and this is the rotor, and in that we have, in rotors we have two types. One is slip ring and second is squirrel cage, okay. So in slip ring, we have number of slots on the outer periphery of the rotor. So this is the rotor. You can see a number of slots punched here. You can see number of slots punched here. Okay. So through these slots will not be parallel. Actually, I made it parallel. They will be slant. Okay. They will be skewed with respect to the shaft. So slip ring induction motor, okay, or slip ring rotor will be having number of slots on the outer periphery of the rotor core. This is the rotor core, okay. This is called rotor core, okay. And the rotor slots will carry again the three-phase distributed winding. You can see the copper wire. You can see the wire here, okay. So this is the copper wire, actual copper wire of the motor winding itself, okay. So I will be placing the conductors in the form of winding in slip ring motor, and this three-phase winding is connected to three slip rings. There are three blue rings, whatever you are seeing on the shaft. These are three slip rings. So three-phase winding is connected to one phase each to each slip ring, and upon these slip rings I will be placing the three brushes. I will be using external resistance to connect to this slip ring. So external resistance is connected to the rotor, through which, okay, by connecting external resistance to the rotor, I will be controlling the speed of the rotor, and I can improve the starting torque of the motor. So for which I will be using slip rings. So this is one kind of rotor. Now in the second case called squirrel cage, the winding is not used. Instead I will be using thick copper bars. I will be using a thick copper bars. Let us take this as one copper bar. So I will be placing this thick copper bar, and I will not be providing any winding over. See, these thick copper bars are placed in the slot, and at both the ends I will be bracing using thick copper rings. Okay, so that will form the cage structure. If you see only the conductors and the end rings, okay, if you see only the conductors and the end rings, you will form a cage structure like this. You will get a cage structure like this, okay. So you can see these are the copper bars which are placed inside the inside the slots, and at the end I have the end rings which are made up of copper, and these copper bars are braced at the end rings. So here what we are doing is, we are placing such conductors in the slot, okay, and using copper end rings I am bracing. So this is how the construction of three-phase induction motor is done, okay. and we have seen the principle with which the motor operates. Okay, so motor operates, the fundamental operation of motor is whenever a current carrying conductor is placed in a magnetic field, a force is produced in the conductor. Okay, a current carrying conductor placed in magnetic field, experience a force. Okay, and that is given by F is equals to BIL sin theta. F is equals to BIL sin theta. Okay, we are using this equation. Okay, so where B is flux density of the magnetic field, I is the current flowing through the conductor, L is the length of the conductor. Okay, so length of the conductor in the sense the length of the conductor that is present in the slot. So whatever the slot you are observing, the slot is of this length. So length of the conductor is this length of conductor. This is also the conductor, this is also the conductor. But these conductor end connections will not contribute, these conductor end connections will not contribute for energy conversion. So length of conductor is taken exactly the length of slot. Okay, that is L. Sin theta is the angular position of the conductor when the force is produced. Okay, so this is the dynamic action. This is the dynamic action. So therefore, induction motor is a dynamic machine because there is force produced and there is physical rotation. Okay, why the current carrying conductor placed in a magnetic field should experience a force? Because suppose I have a coil. Actually this is a repetition what I have told in the last class. Okay, if you have not seen the lecture video, gone through the lecture video, it will be useful for you. So I will in one coil I will be giving the current which will create a magnetic field. Okay, I will be placing one more conductor here, and in this also I will be making the current to flow either by conduction or by induction, whatever may be the way. Because the current flowing in the second coil in this motor is inductive, okay, it is through induction process. This is called induction motor. Now when this coil carries current, it will create its own magnetic field. In the same space there are two magnetic fields existing, therefore these two magnetic fields will interact to each other, then either a repulsive force is produced or attractive force is produced. Okay, but in both the cases some force is produced. That produced force, when it is made cumulative in all the conductors in the same direction, then that we call it as torque, and hence the motor starts rotating. Okay, so the fundamental principle is this. It is very simple. You take two magnets near to each other. If the poles are same, they repel. If the poles are opposite, they attract. Why? What is happening? Because the magnetic fields of both the magnets are interacting in the same space. Therefore, the force is produced. The same principle we are using, but through electromagnets. That's it. So this is the fundamental principle of operation of any motor. This is for any motor. Okay. So depends upon now how I produce the current in the second coil. If I connect one source to the first coil which is producing the main field, and if I connect the second coil to this other source, then this is called the conduction motor. I am making the current conduct in the second coil. Now I will not connect the second coil anywhere. I will simply short it, and I will place this in the first magnetic field. If the magnetic field is alternating here, then an EMF is induced in the second coil. Then because it is short circuit in nature, current will flow in the second coil. It will create flux. Those fluxes interact. Force is produced. This is called induction principle, and this is what happens in induction motor. How it exactly happens, we will look into. So next point of discussion is rotating magnetic field. rotating magnetic field. So this is the stator of induction motor. I have got number of slots in the inner periphery. And so on. Now to this I will be connecting a three-phase supply, R, Y and B. I will be connecting a three-phase supply. So therefore the three-phase distributed stator winding will now carry three-phase currents. Now when three-phase currents are flowing, three-phase fluxes are produced. Current and flux will be always in phase. I told that in the previous transformer case. If there is a flux produced by any conductor, then that flux will be always in phase with that current. Okay? Now, I have a three-phase supply and I know that between any two currents or any two voltages, the phase angle is 120 degrees. Okay? The phase angle is 120 degrees. Therefore, between any two fluxes, the phase angle will be 120 degrees. So now I will be drawing a three-phase flux. I will be drawing a three-phase flux. So let this be omega t, this be phi. So RYB R phase. So phi R is equals to, I will write, or let us take the phases as A, B, C, because you are familiar with the A, B, C phases, or that I am taking. Okay. So let it be phi A is equals to, let us take phi A is equals to phi m sin omega t, because A phase is starting at initial phase angle 0. Phi B is equals to phi m sin omega t minus 120 degrees, and phi C is equals to phi m sin omega t minus 240 degrees. Okay. Minus 240. Now as for these instantaneous equations, I would like to draw the phasor diagram or the vectors of the fluxes. Okay. Now phi A, red phase, it will start at omega t equal to 0. This is phi m. Minus phi m. Okay. So this is 0. This is 180. 360. Okay. This will be 90. This will be 270. Next phase, yellow. Okay. Yellow I don't have. Instead of yellow, I will draw with black. Okay. Because yellow, even if I have, it will not be visible. So second phase, B phase start at omega t equal to minus 120 degrees. It will be lagging phi A by 120 degrees. So this is 90. This is somewhere I get 120. This is 120, 150, 180. This is 120. 120 degrees. Okay, and it will be draw a waveform parallel to first waveform. That's it. So this is phi b. This is phi a. Okay. Now phi c will be at an angle minus 240 degree with respect to phi a. RYB, this will be blue. So this is 270. Somewhere I will get it as 240. Okay. This is 120. Now third waveform will be parallel to first and second waveform. Okay. Now extend the waveforms. So this is a three-phase flux produced in the air gap or by the stator winding. Now this phi A, phi B, phi C, all three fluxes are existing in the same air gap. It is the rotor. Okay, I will take somewhat cage rotor. So this is phi A present in this air gap, phi B present in this air gap, phi C present in this air gap. Now just now I told, when there are multiple fluxes existing in the same space, then those fluxes will interact and give out the resultant fluxes. They will interact with each other, they will either add or they will get subtracted or they will get added up and give out the resultant fluxes. And one beautiful nature of these multiple fluxes existing in the same space is that when multiple fluxes exist in the same space and interact to each other, they gain some capacity to do the work. They gain some capacity to do the work. And this nature of the fluxes is exploited in induction motor. Induction motor, I told, it is self-starting. Why it is self-starting? Because the moment I give three-phase supply to the stator winding, though that three-phase supply will produce three-phase fluxes, and all these three-phase fluxes will exist in the same space, that is in air gap, and when they interact with each other with a resultant flux, then that resultant flux will have capacity to do the work, because of which the work is done in rotating the rotor. Okay. Now we will see what is the resultant flux I get when the three fluxes phi A, phi B, phi C will interact with each other. Okay. So what if I draw the vector diagram? This is waveform. If I draw, because whenever I want to add the alternating quantities, I don't go along with the waveforms, I go with the vectors. So vector diagram I will draw as per this equation. Phi A, this is phi A, phi B will be lagging behind phi A by 120 degrees. And phi C will be lagging behind phi A by 240 degrees and phi B by 120 degrees. This is 120. This is 120. So these are the initial positions of the vectors. Okay, so these are the initial positions of the vectors. Now I will be considering at various phase angles, that is at various omega t's. Okay, now when I change this omega t to various values, how the interaction of the fluxes will occur, we will study vectorially. Okay, so I will consider some cases at omega t is equals to 0, first case. Second case, omega t is equals to 60. Third case, omega t is equals to 120. Fourth case, omega t is equals to 180. and so on. If you want, we can continue. There is no, but for 180, whatever happens, the same thing happens for remaining 180. Okay, so we'll look into up to 180 degrees. Okay, so what is the resultant vector at omega t equal to 0, and what is the position of resultant vector? What is the resultant vector at omega t equal to 60, and what is its position? Now, what is the resultant vector at omega t equal to 120 and its position? At 180 its position, at 240 its position, 300 its position, 360 its magnitude and position. Okay, so first we will take the case when omega t equal to 0. So for that I have to rub this right part. This I need for my reference, this vector diagram. So what I will do, I will simply rub this. Okay, so it is a three-phase waveform. What we have studied in the three-phase circuits. So now I will just clean it up. Case 1, at omega t is equals to 0 degrees. At omega t is equals to 0 degrees. Okay. Now substitute omega t equals to 0 in phi a, phi b and phi c. Okay. Substitute omega t is equals to 0 in phi a, phi b and phi c. Omega t equals to 0, I will get phi a is equals to phi m sin 0 is equals to 0. So my A phase flux is 0 at omega t equals to 0. Okay. Then phi b is equals to phi m sin of minus 120. So phi b is equals to sin of minus 120 will give us minus root 3 by 2 phi. I will take it here. Minus root 3 by 2 phi, is it? Sin of minus 120. Yeah, minus root 3 by 2 phi. Then phi c, phi m sin minus 240, it will be plus root 3 by 2 phi. Okay. So when I say the three fluxes are interacting with each other means I will simply add the vectors of three fluxes. Okay, to get the resultant I will be adding, is it? So to get the resultant of three fluxes in the area or in the space, okay, I will be simply adding the three fluxes. So phi r is equals to phi a plus phi b plus phi c, but vectorially, not arithmetically. Arithmetically it becomes algebraically it becomes 0. Algebraic sum of any three phase quantities is 0 at any instant. This already we have proved. So I will be taking the vector resultant of three fluxes. Now I have to place the position of three vectors phi a, phi b and phi c with respect to these equations. So we have got phi a is equals to 0. So vector of phi a will not come into picture. I got phi b is equals to minus root 3 by 2 phi m. What minus sign indicates in the vector? the direction of that vector is opposite to that of original vector. That's it. And phi c plus root 3 by 2 phi m, it is positive. So the vector position of phi c will remain same, but magnitude is root 3 by 2 phi m. Vector position of phi b will be opposite to that of vector phi b, but magnitude is root 3 by 2 phi m. So I will draw these three vectors. Phi a is 0, I need not to draw vector phi a. Phi b, the actual here I will take reference. This is the actual phi b. Oh, phi b was in black color. Okay. So this was actual direction of phi b. Now the direction of phi b is opposite, minus. This is reference, positive x-axis is reference. So these are the three original vector positions. Okay, original positions of three vectors. Now phi b is minus root 3 by 2 phi m. The direction of phi b will change. Okay, the direction of phi b will now change. So this is minus phi b equals to root 3 by 2 phi m, minus root 3 by 2 phi m. And whenever I am taking magnitude, I should be taking only the magnitude. Okay, minus we generally don't, or we will see what happens. Okay, then phi c is plus root 3 by 2 phi m. Therefore phi c will remain at its position. Phi c is equals to root 3 by 2 phi. Now what is the resultant? Phi r is equals to phi a plus phi b plus phi c. Okay, phi a is 0, phi a is 0, phi b is minus root 3 by 2 phi m, phi c is plus root 3 by 2 phi m. So how to get the resultant? Resultant is obtained by using the law of parallelogram. Okay. So by using law of parallelogram, I can get the resultant. Now construct a parallelogram with other two sides equal to the length of other two vectors, and the length of longest diagonal is my resultant. So this is phi r. The resultant is vertically upwards. I think there is a small shine in the board at that point, but don't worry, in the video it will be clear. Okay. So the resultant is vertically upwards. Okay. Now how to get the value of resultant? Now I should know what is the magnitude of that resultant. I know the magnitude of each vector now. Root 3 by 2 phi m is the magnitude. And phi m I can find out based on the value of current and reluctance. So many ways are there. Assuming that I know what is the value of phi m, the magnitude of phi a is, phi b is minus root 3 by 2 phi m. Magnitude of phi c is plus root 3 by 2 phi m. Now I should be finding what is the magnitude of resultant phi r. So for that I should be going for small construction. So let this be O. Okay. Let this be A. Okay, and B. So what is phi r? Phi r is equals to OA. Sorry. Phi r is not the r phase vector, it is the resultant vector. So phi r is equals to OA. The length of OA gives us the magnitude of resultant vector phi r. How to get that? Give a small construction here. So let this be point C, okay, which is bisecting, okay, or which is exactly the midpoint of vector OA, which is exactly at midpoint of vector OA. Now what is this angle? This angle is 30 degrees, sorry, 60 degrees, and this angle will be 30 degrees. Okay. This angle is 120, between phi A and phi C is 120. When I took phi B opposite to minus phi B opposite to phi B, this 120 degree got divided. This will be 60 now. Okay? And when I took the resultant, it 60 got further divided into two parts. Now this will be 30. So that angle between OB and OC is 30. And what is OA? OA is equals to OC plus CA. And this is equals to 2 into OC. Okay? Because OC is equals to C. Because OC is equals to C. Now what is OC? Phi R is equals to 2 into OC. Now OC finds the base of the triangle, okay, OCB. It is a right angle triangle. It is a right angle triangle. So it forms the base of the triangle. It forms base of the triangle. Okay. OC is forming the base of the triangle where hypotenuse is OB, okay, and opposite side is BC. So I want OC. I can very conveniently write OC is equals to, okay, OB into cos 30. Because if I want base side, then I will be using the function cos. OB cos 30. This is equals to 2 into OB. Okay. What is OB? Okay. We will substitute. What is OB? OB is nothing but my vector phi C, which is equals to root 3 by 2 phi m. So OB is equals to root 3 by 2 phi m, and cos 30 is, okay, root 3 by 2. Cos 30 is root 3 by 2, 0.866. Okay, so 1, 2 and this 2 get cancelled. Root 3 into root 3 is 3. Okay, by 2, 1, 2 will remain, and this is phi m. So resultant vector of 3-phase flux is equals to phi r is equals to 1.5 into the maximum value. 1.5 into the maximum value. And what is the position of resultant vector? At omega t equals to 0, the position of resultant vector is vertically upwards. Okay? This is first case. Now what happens if omega t changes? Because I have not applied a steady voltage there. I have applied an alternating voltage. Therefore, the flux is also alternating. And as flux is alternating, my phase angle omega t, okay, or phase position omega t is continuously changing from 0 to 360 degrees in a cycle. Now what happens at various values of omega t? I have considered omega t equal to 60 in interval of 60 degrees. Why only interval of 60 degrees? I will tell at the end. Okay. Even if you take interval of 30 degrees also, it is fine. If you take omega t equal to 0, omega t equal to 1 degree, 2 degree, up to 360, that is also fine. Okay. So I got to know that now with phi a equal to 0, phi b equal to minus root 3 by 2 phi m, and phi c equal to plus root 3 by 2 phi m, my resultant vector is 1.5 phi m. Okay, 3 by 2 phi m. Next, second case, when omega t is equals to 60. Case 2, when omega t is equals to 60 degrees. when omega t equal to 60 degree. So with respect to that, what is phi a? Phi a will be equals to phi m sin 60. Okay, this is phi a is equals to somewhere I will mark the position of this vector, resultant vector. So at omega t is equals to, I will take this part. I will rub this and I will use this part. So this is phi r at omega t is equals to 0. Okay, phi r at omega t is equals to 0. So next I have to be knowing what is the position of phi r. Okay, so for that I should mark somewhere. Now what is phi a is equals to phi m sin 60. So that is sin 60 is root 3 by 2 phi m. Sin 60 is root 3 by 2. Okay, then phi b is equals to phi m sin, okay, omega t is 60. 60 minus 120. Okay, that is minus 60. Or should I write 60 minus 120? Phi m sin minus 60. So this will be minus root 3 by 2 phi m. Minus root 3 by 2 phi. Okay. Second case, sorry, phi b. This is phi b is minus root 3 by 2 phi m. Phi a is root 3 by 2 phi m. Then phi c, it is phi m sin 60 minus 240. This is phi m sin minus 180. So at 180 degree, whether plus or minus, sin is 0. So phi c is 0. So now I have to add, for to get the resultant, phi r is equals to phi a plus phi b plus phi c factorial. Okay, phi a plus phi b plus phi c factorial. Okay, now I will be drawing the vector diagram. First I will draw the original positions of the vectors in dotted line. Okay, I will take little bit down here because there is a shine on the board. Okay, so I will take this here. So this is phi a. This is the position of phi b. This is the position of phi c. These are original positions. Okay, initial positions of phi a, phi b and phi c. I am drawing you dotted line. Now I have to place the vector phi b with respect to its position, vector phi c with respect to its position. So vector phi b is minus root 3 by 2 phi m. So when it is minus of for any vector, it is in opposite direction to that of its original position. So therefore phi b is here. I have this phi b, minus phi b will be here. Minus phi b is equals to minus root 3 by 2 phi m. Okay. Then sorry, phi a is plus root 3 by 2 phi m. It is at its original position. Okay, phi a is positive, so therefore phi a is equals to plus root 3 by 2 phi. Now I have to add phi a plus phi b plus phi c. Phi a plus phi b plus phi c is 0. Now I have to add only these two vectors. Now what is this angle again? This angle is 60. This angle is 60 degrees because it is 120. When I am taken minus phi b vector, okay, it is bisecting this angle 120, it becomes 60, here it will be 60. Okay, now I should be taking the resultant. Okay, so the resultant vector will be the diagonal of the longest diagonal of the parallelogram constructed. Okay. So the resultant vector I will draw with red ink. This is phi r and this angle is now 30 degrees. Again, let this be O, let this be A. So phi r is equals to OA. Length of vector OA is now phi r. Okay. So we will have a small construction again here. Let this be at C, making a right angle. Okay, and this be B. Now again, I can write OA is equals to OC plus CA, and phi r is equals to two into OC, because OC is equals to C. Because OC is equals to C. But what is OC? OC is again now forming the base of the right angle triangle OCB. Okay, so I can write OC is equals to 2 into OC is equals to OB cos 30. Because OB is hypotenuse. Okay, OB is hypotenuse in this triangle. I hope this is visible. Okay, OB is hypotenuse in this triangle. OC is base and CB is opposite side. I want base, so I use cos function. Now what is OB cos 30? Okay, so I will write here phi r is equals to, okay, so this phi r is equals to two into OB is phi a, that is root 3 by 2 phi m, into cos 30 root 3 by 2. So 2 will get cancelled. I will get this as phi r is equals to 3 by 2 phi m, or 1.5 times phi m. Now what I can observe here is the magnitude of resultant has not changed. It was 1.5 phi m at omega t equal to 0. It is 1.5 phi m at omega t equal to 60 degrees. But see the angular position of the resultant vector. It has rotated through 60 degrees. Earlier, the resultant was vertically upwards. This was phi r at omega t equals to 0. Now this is phi r at omega t is equals to 60. So it has rotated through 60 degrees. The new position of phi r is here. Phi r at omega t is equals to 60 degrees. Okay. Magnitude is same, 1.5 phi m. We will see the third case. Okay. The third case at omega t is equals to 120 degrees. We will see that quickly. It will not take much time for me. And in the same vector diagram I will try to do. At omega t is equals to 120 degrees. Okay. So phi a is equals to phi m sin 120. Okay. And that will be is equals to same, I think, plus root 3 by 2 phi m. Because sine is positive for entire half cycle 0 to 180 degrees. It will be plus root 3 by 2 phi. Phi b is equals to, okay, 120 minus 120, this will be 0. Okay, this will be 0. Then phi c is equals to 120 minus 240. So this will be sine of minus 120, and it will be minus root 3 by 2 phi. Okay, that will be minus root 3 by 2 phi. In this case, I will simply rub this part. I will keep the resultant as it is, and I will rub the other things. So this is phi r. Now phi a is positive, phi b is 0, phi c is negative. Okay, so phi a is positive. So phi a is equals to root 3 by 2 phi m. Phi b is 0, phi c is negative. So when phi c is negative, I should be taking the vector phi c in opposite direction. Minus phi c is equals to minus root 3 by 2 phi m. Minus phi c is equal to minus root 3 by 2 phi m. And this angle will be now 60 degrees. Okay, this angle will be, because between phi b and phi it is 120. When I take exactly opposite to phi c, it will bisect the angle 120 and becomes 60 degrees. Okay, now what is the resultant again? Phi a plus phi b plus phi c. Phi a plus phi b plus phi c. I have three vectors. Phi a is here, phi b is 0, phi c is here. So after taking the resultant, again draw a parallelogram. Okay, take the resultant. This is phi r, resultant vector, and this angle is again 30. Okay, so that angle is again 30. No, let this be here. This angle will be 30. So therefore, let this be OA, this be B, construct a point C, making a 90 degrees here. Okay, so what is phi r? Phi r is equals to same thing we will get. Phi r is equals to OA, which is equals to OC plus CA. Phi r is equals to 2 into OC, because OC is equals to CA. Okay, and this is equals to 2 into OB cos 30. Okay, and that will be phi r is equals to 2 into OB is root 3 by 2 phi m. Okay, into root cos 30 is root 3 by 2, and the resultant obtained is 3 by 2 phi m, or 1.5 times phi m. So what again we observe here is the magnitude of the resultant vector is not changing. Okay, only the angular position is changing with respect to the supply angular position. So as omega t is equals to value is changing, at the same value the magnitude of the position of the resultant flux is also changing, keeping the magnitude constant. Okay, so the third position is here. So phi r is equals to, or phi r at omega t is equals to 120 degrees. So I am shifting omega t by 60 degrees at every stage. My phi r is also shifting by 60 degrees at every stage. So what is this? So this was 30, this was 30. So it was earlier vertically upwards. It is shifted by 30 plus 30, 60 degrees. Now it is shifted 30 plus 30, 60 degrees. If I take at omega t equal to 180, it will further shift by 60 degrees. If I take omega t equal to 240, it will further shift by 60 degrees. So when I plot all the values, all the positions of resultant vector, I will get this. phi r equals to 180, phi r at 180 degrees, phi r at 240 degrees, okay, and phi r at 300 degrees and phi r at 360 degrees. So you observe the magnetic field, the resultant magnetic field is not stationary, it is rotating. Resultant magnetic field is not stationary but it is rotating. Okay? Hence it is called as rotating magnetic field. Hence it is called as rotating magnetic field. And see the angular position of the magnetic field. Angular position of magnetic field is same as that of angular position of the supply. Okay? Angular position of magnetic field is same as that of angular position of supply. Therefore, I say this magnetic field is in synchronous with the supply. This magnetic field is in synchronous with the supply because angular positions is same. At omega t equal to 0, it is at one point. When omega t changed by 60 degrees, it also changed by 60 degrees. If omega t changes by 25 degrees, it will change by 25 degrees. Okay, and why I have taken interval of 60 is at every interval of 60, one of the vector will be 0. So my addition will become simple. If you take omega t is equal to say around 75 degrees, you will get all the three vectors. You should take resultant of all the three vectors. So calculation becomes somewhat complex. So therefore we took omega t is equals to 0, 60, 120, 180 like that. Because one of the vector will become 0 at every 60 degree interval. Okay? And if you mark for all the values of omega t, if you mark for all the values of omega t, you will get like this. Magnitude will remain the same, only the angular position will change, it will form a circle. Okay? It will form a circle. So therefore we say this resultant magnetic field is now rotating in the air gap throughout the circumference. Okay? Now what is the speed at which it is rotating? The angular speed at which it is rotating is equal to the supply angular speed. Okay? And the speed at which the rotating magnet rotates is called synchronous speed. Okay? The speed at which rotating magnet rotates is called synchronous speed. You can join the next class, but I will continue for 5 minutes. We will end this. You will get that in the video. Okay? So please go before next class, at least last 5 to 10 minutes of the video. Okay? Other things you can go through later. Okay? You can join the next class because it's a time. It is time if you can join next class. I will record that in the video. Okay. So we now see here the resultant magnetic field of interaction of these three fluxes is rotating in nature and it is not stationary. Okay, and the angular position of this rotating vector is exactly same as that of supply. Therefore, I say this rotating vector is existing in synchronous with the supply. Okay, and hence the speed at which the rotating magnetic field is rotating is called synchronous speed of the induction motor. Okay, we can write one or two statements here. From analysis we observe points. From analysis, from above analysis, we observe that the resultant flux phi r is rotating is rotating, okay, in space with constant magnitude. With constant magnitude, phi r is equals to 1.5 phi r. Plus, phi r is equals to 1.5 phi r. Okay. So, the magnitude is remaining constant throughout the rotation. There is no change in the magnitude. Okay. But other point what we can observe is the angular position of rotating magnetic flux or rotating magnetic field, RMF I will write. The angular position of RMF is same as that of supply. Therefore, rotating magnetic flux or rotating magnetic field both are same, exist in synchronous with supply. So as angular position of RMF is in synchronous with supply, frequency of RMF is also same as that of supply. If supply is of 50 Hz, frequency of rotating magnetic field is also 50 Hz. Okay? So the magnitude is 1.5 phi m. Then what is the nature? The nature is sinusoidal. The resultant flux phi r is sinusoidal in nature, and its amplitude, its peak value is 1.5 times the peak value of each phase flux, that is phi m. Okay? Third point, okay? Hence, the speed at which rotating magnetic field rotates is known as synchronous speed. Is known as synchronous speed and is given by ns. Synchronous speed known as ns.